Hi everyone. Here I would like to give you some skills for writing a scientific paper. When you write a scientific paper, it is very important you write it clearly in a very simplified manner. The reader can understand you without too much of thinking. Keep it simple, clear, then the information is clearly delivered. If you want to write a good research paper, then you need to organize in sections. For example, you will have an introduction, you will have a method section, and you have the results and the discussion. In each section, you will have maybe one or couple of paragraphs, or you have multiple paragraphs. So you have the blocks. Then you need to clearly describe what is your content in each paragraph. Trying to put all relevant information into one paragraph rather than spread your information. You will spread the same information into different paragraphs. Now, when you write a paragraph, the paragraph consists of the sentences. Then you need to organize the sentence, start of something very basic. So that's what we're going to talk about. Start something which is very basic, then build up your research paper. Let's talk about the sentence. Each sentence needs to make a sense. And between the sentence, you will make the nature connection. Make it a very fluent connection. But for each sentence, then make sure when you write it makes sense. The key word I would like to explain in the next few slides is about matching. What is matching? In this slide, as you can see, we are talking about the verb matches the subject. What does this mean? The subject can be either expressed or implied, meaning sometimes you may say, we have worked, or we worked. Means we means the subject. It's clear. Or can be implied, meaning it doesn't have the subject, but it's somewhere in this sentence. When the verb is in an implied form, such as to examine, you don't have a subject there, or examining. However, the subject is somewhere in this sentence. You must have subject, then you have a verb. Make sure they match to each other. In such a case, when you construct your sentence, you need to be careful to avoid some suggesting nonsense. I will explain this in next slide. Here I use this sentence to explain the verb needs to match the subject. The sentence is this: to dissect its brain, the diseased rat was treated with a drug. Clearly, this sentence is wrong because the sentence implies that the diseased rat dissected its own brain. So therefore, this is impossible. Rat cannot dissect its own brain because the verb here, this verb, does not match the subject. So how do you correct it? To dissect the brain, we treated the diseased rat with a drug. This is a correct sentence because we dissect the brain. We dissected the rat brain. So this is correct. Now this verb match to that subject. Another way to say it, you change the first part to have its brain dissected. The diseased rat was treated with a drug. Now the rat is the subject. To have rat's brain dissected, and this is also correct. Here is another sentence. After treating for 4 weeks on a high-fat diet, we observed a change in the body weight of experimental rats. This is wrong because this sentence implies that the authors of the paper needs to treat for 4 weeks on a high-fat diet in order to observe the change. Because here is we as a subject. So we needed to treat because the authors here is author treated for 4 weeks on high-fat diet. So this is wrong. The correct way would be after treating 4 weeks on a high-fat diet, body weight, actually the body weight here means the rat showed a change. This is correct. So this subject matches to this verb. Or you can say after rats on a high-fat diet for 4 weeks, we observed a change. Now you clearly say the rat here as a subject on a high-fat diet. This is also correct. Here's another one. To confirm the presence of A beta 142 transgenes, animals were genotyped via PCR using primers. This is very common when people study the aging or Alzheimer's disease, A beta. So basically you needed the subject here. Here become animal confirm the presence of A beta. So animal cannot confirm. Therefore the sentence is a wrong sentence. The correct way would be to confirm. Who confirm? We confirm. We genotyped. So this is a correct sentence. Or you can say to have the presence of this confirmed, then animal were genotyped. Then animal have the presence of A beta. So this is also correct. Therefore, you make sure the verb match to the subject. So sometimes it's very clear, say, for example, here, we genotype, this matches. But sometimes the hidden implied, that's more difficult. Then you need to make sure they talk to each other. This sentence is trying to explain the verb needed to match the event. As you can see here, what we are saying, to directly evaluate the physiological role of a receptor, which here is called 5-HT2C receptor in the brain, we applied 8 doses of 5-HT2C antagonist on neurons, including one concentration, 2 concentrations, these 8 doses. But when you read this sentence, it doesn't really match, because to directly evaluate this thing, this is the aim. Then you should say how you did it. Can you evaluate some of the role, physiological role. But here I said we applied 8 doses finished. Doesn't this 8 doses has nothing really to do with the physiological role. Therefore, this is not a good sentence. It doesn't talk to each other. The author cannot figure out what do you mean. You evaluated the physiological role, use 8 doses. 8 doses of what? What is the physiological role? It doesn't say that. Therefore, it doesn't really match the event. So that's the wrong sentence. You should talk about how to evaluate the role if that's the purpose of this sentence. Here is a sentence. I want to use this sentence to explain the verb needs to match the verb within a sentence. We're talking about the same thing. You see here, our results suggest that an overstimulation of serotonin receptor decreases synapses as part of the mechanism underlying the pathophysiology of schizophrenia. This is wrong because you cannot suggest decrease. You can suggest a possible mechanism. If you said a decrease, you say I observed a decrease or show a decrease, but you cannot suggest a decrease. So these two verbs within one sentence, it doesn't match to each other.